Hello and welcome to my channel. My name is Elizabeth and I am going to talk today about how I was tidying out a drawer and my intention to make my life a little bit easier by doing so, and also talking about a story that a friend has told me. So without further ado, I'll get on to the tidying out of the drawer. Hope you enjoy it. I'm going to do a quick tidy out of this drawer. I'm not actually going to be doing much of a declutter. I'll be surprised if I find anything that I don't use on a regular basis actually, but I need to clean the drawer out. And what I decided when I was looking at it the other day is that I have too many things in here. There's two of us living here full-time and one, my daughter, part-time when she's not away at college. But I have too many things in here. I'm not throwing them out and I'm not donating them because for the occasions where I do have family around, like barbecues and Christmas, I would rather have cutlery and plates and things that I can use rather than going and buying something that's disposable. So I'm going to tilt the camera now. I'm going to do a very quick clear out here and see what I find. Because the reason I want to clear it out as well is it will actually be simpler for me when I am cleaning out the drawer. I'm not moving things all the time. I'm not going to be, normally I would kind of wash all this cutlery every now and again and there isn't much point, so I'll put them in this box. Before I need them then I can wash them, but on a daily basis I will not have to look at so many things in the drawer. On a monthly basis I won't have to move so much to clean it, and I think it'll make life a little bit simpler. So here I go. The other thing I'm going to do to make it simple is do it as quickly as possible. Okay then, here I'm opening my drawer, and as you can see there are a lot of excess cutlery. There's a lot of knives. The reason I'm doing a voiceover is because I realised as I was handling the cutlery it was making a lot of noise and I didn't want to be unkind to your ears. The same with forks, and what I decided was that I was going to keep 6 knives and 6 forks and put the rest into the holding bin that I'd be able to use then in future when we have a party. Similarly with spoons, except I decided on 4 dessert spoons and 4 soup spoons. The reason I went for 6 with the knives and forks is for the maybe once a week when I use the dishwasher, and so we might have used a fork for breakfast and maybe lunch or whatever, and so we'd still have a couple of forks, but it would be very rare that we would use 4 soup spoons and 4 dessert spoons in the same day. This little gadget my mum bought for me, it's supposed to help you open cans and bottles if you're not able to. I don't find it very useful, but then I haven't had a lot of attempts at using it. My partner is very good at opening things for me if I do get stuck, and generally I'm not too bad. The reason she bought me this was after I broke my wrist. She thought it might be more difficult for me to open things. I couldn't quite bring myself to throw it out at this point in time because I thought there might be a day that I'm opening a jar and I can't open it, and I think where's that gone? So I decided then that I would just put it into the little holding bin where I knew where it would be, but it wouldn't be something I'd need to look at every day in the drawer. And if I go back to it in a few months' time and I haven't used it, then I can just decide at that point to get rid of it. Here are little kind of paring knives, and I ended up keeping all of those. The reason is that both my partner and I cook, and we actually have favourite knives. A couple of serving spoons which I decided to keep, and a little flip for cooking eggs and things. Bottle opener I was putting into the holding bin, believe it or not, because neither of us drink wine, and a lot of wine you get nowadays has screw tops if we had friends or family anyway. The little pastry brush I was keeping in the drawer because I use that. And a little whisk that is kind of handy if you want to froth up some milk to make a coffee or something, but it's not something I use very often. So with that in mind, I decided to put it into the holding bin. It's actually more so I'd use it for hot chocolate for my daughter when she's at home. And these plasticky little knives are very good for cutting lettuce. They don't or they stop it from kind of going brown. So I've decided to keep one in the drawer and put one in the holding bin. And the teaspoons, goodness, I don't know how many teaspoons we have and what's the purpose of them. But again, I decided to keep 6 teaspoons and then 2 little, very small egg spoons for eating a boiled egg. So I decided to keep those as well. That's a little egg spoon. There's another little egg spoon, and the rest are going to go in the holding bin. This is a little pen-like screwdriver that I use. It's very, very small. I used to use it sometimes for tightening things like the screw on my glasses. It's a small little gizmo, and because it's small, I've always kept it in the kitchen drawer. At least I know where it is, so I continue to keep it there. It's quite handy. It's got a little space at the back to keep all the different tops. That's a little Parmesan cheese grater, which I kept because we use it if we're having the usual things like bolognese. And that's a little thing for cutting chips that I've had for years and years, so that it gives a crinkly effect, and I've kept that. Can opener and a vegetable peeler I kept. The meat thermometer I keep. That little spatula is going to go in the holding bin. I use it occasionally when I'm icing a cake. That's a vegetable peeler and an apple corer. I use that if I'm preparing baked apples or something. So I decided to keep that out. This time of year we do eat a lot of baked apples. And the little yellow thing with it is a honey drizzler, which is good for getting the honey out of a jar without it dripping everywhere. And that little tool is a melon baller, which I do use, but not so much this time of year. And it's nice when you want to scoop out little melon balls, or if you're making a fruit salad or something. And I think I put that in the holding bin. I ended up with another vegetable peeler, which I decided needed a little wash, and I was going to then put into the holding bin. And that's a little whisk which I use regularly for just making a couple of eggs and omelette or something. That is a knife sharpener, which we keep with the big knives because I do use that. And some knives. Again, we've 2 big knives. One my partner prefers and one I prefer. A little meat fork for lifting out the meat. We've actually 2 of those, and I use it because sometimes you're lifting out a chicken. Big chopping knife which I use, that I enjoy using, and that's the other meat fork. Sometimes to grab each end of the chicken or whatever. And some meat skewers, which I possibly would have put in the holding bin, but they're too big, so I decided to keep them in the drawer. They're not something I use all the time, but I do like to keep them for barbecues. The knives that go with my electric carving knife. I'd actually taken my carving knife out of the drawer about a week before and not used it. And seeing these knives, I had made the decision that it was time to get rid of the carving knife because it was very old. I think I've had it from maybe 30 years. And just health and safety wise, I think it's time to part with it. So the knives are being thrown away, as is the carving knife. Okay, I've sped up the recording now. I'm just looking at things and discussing, obviously, things like an ice cream scoop I'm keeping for the summertime. Pizza cutter, we do use that. That's a bottle cork for wine, which I think is in my undecided pile at the moment. I'm taking out the drawer divider, and that's a medicine spoon which I'll put back into the drawer because it's always handy to have that if you're taking any kind of medication. It's got the measure on it. I'm removing the tea towel that I had in the drawer along with a kind of a little, I don't know, it's come with the drawer. Washing out the drawer and drying it and putting that little, I don't know what it's called, back in there. I'll give it a little wipe too. And then the drawer dividers I've given a little wipe and I'll put them back in. And I'm placing everything back in the drawer that I'm deciding to keep, and hopefully it'll be less cluttered and easier to access. Right, I'm going to tell you a little story while I do that. And the story was told to me by a friend of mine who had trained as a fire officer, and his first day on the job, the chief officer had said to him, can you go and pull the fire engine into that bay over there, bay 3 we'll say. The fire engine was parallel across the forecourt. So my friend was very pleased to be able to show off his skills and impress his new boss. So he hopped into the fire engine, he pulled it forward, he reversed it, he straightened up and he reverse parked into the spot. And then he got out really pleased with himself, and the fire officer said to him, he said, well, okay, that's okay. He said, now will I show you how I would do it? And my friend's jaw dropped. He felt a little quiver. He thought he was going to get some praise, and he felt he's been told off. So the fire officer said to him, pull back in the position you were in. So my friend pulled back to the position he was, and he said, now stand back and I'll show you how I would do it. And the fire chief got into the truck. He drove forward, drove around in a circle and pulled forward into the parking bay. And when he got out, he said to my friend, the young officer, he said, there is a lesson for you today. If you can find an easy way to do something, do it the easy way. My friend told me this about a year ago, and it's always stuck in my head. I think in a lot of life, we don't actually think like this. Hello, and I hope you enjoyed that little moral story about how to make your life easier and my little clear up. I think sometimes we just go along and we're doing something the way we've always done it, or even the way we've been shown to do it, and sometimes we don't actually think or give ourselves permission to do things the easy way. And I hope that's what I'm doing with my channel, is giving people the chance to intentionally live their lives. And if that means thinking about what you're doing and thinking about how to make it easier, well, I hope that works for you. And if you enjoyed this, please give me a thumbs up, and I will talk to you next week. Take care for now and have a great week. Bye bye. Bye. Bye bye. Bye bye. Bye bye. Bye.